Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today is Friday. And since you all voted that I'm cooking a brisket this weekend, I'm about to have to go out and get all the stuff I need to cook this brisket. For those of you that don't know, briskets are very expensive, and so usually I'll go to Walmart and get a brisket. I also get what's called Johnny Fleeman's. It is like a kind of like gravy, but it's that's the wrong word. Johnny Fleeman's is like shoot, I'm drawing a blank on. It's not gravy, but it's like au jus. Au jus is what I was trying to say. It's like an au jus, and what I do is I inject that au jus into the brisket, and I put the brisket in a pan, and then I put some oil over the brisket, and then put the rub on, and then we smoke it. But you have to smoke these things for a long period of time. But at the end of it, and then you eventually wrap it and cook it for a lot longer. But at the end of it, the idea for me is that au jus to be literally seeping out of that brisket. I'm making you hungry just by talking about this right now. And then I think I'm going to throw a butt on there too, folks. Mr. Skinny, he sold me. I think I'm going to do both, and I might even, just because I want my Georgia friends to enjoy their brisket while they watch Georgia get beat by Notre Dame. No, I don't really think Georgia's going to get beat by Notre Dame. And I don't want them to get beat by Notre Dame. I'm just kidding about that. But I am irritated about Georgia's mega easy schedule compared to my Auburn Tigers. They get to go all the way probably to the national championship because they have no schedule whatsoever. Okay, let's get it going here. Crypto Dave. We talked about the Ripple lawsuit in the last video, but Crypto Dave kind of summarized some more of this and gave some of his thoughts. Here's Ripple's motion to dismiss in its entirety XRP fam. And he says, Section 13 of the Securities Act contains a 3-year statute of repose. Specifically, the statute states that in no event shall an action under Section 12A1 be brought more than 3 years after the security was bona fide offered to the public. Purchasing XRP is not an investment in Ripple. There's no common enterprise between Ripple and XRP purchasers. There was no promise that Ripple would help generate profits for XRP holders. And the XRP ledger is decentralized. The motion to dismiss should be granted and the complaint dismissed with prejudice. Leave to amend should be denied because the amendment would be futile. To allege that a defendant is a seller by solicitation, a plaintiff must plead active participation in the solicitation of the immediate sale, a direct relationship between the purchaser and the defendant being merely a substantial factor in causing a sale of unregistered securities is not sufficient in itself to render a defendant liable under 12.1. Plaintiffs must include very specific allegations of solicitation, including direct communication with plaintiffs. This alone will keep them from winning this. And then he points to a case. And he says, merely alleging that certain Ripple employees made positive public statements about XRP is not sufficient. In other words, as I've said all along, they're not calling XRP a security. This was decided a long time ago, folks. Jonathan D at XRP_YD7. I love this. This is from CoinDesk. This is the Financial Services Committee of the House Committee on Financial Services. The chairwoman is Maxine Waters. Will question the SEC commissioners about crypto regulations and Facebook's Libra next week. And remember, when she was interviewed about this, she said we have to get to the bottom of this Bitcom. Okay. So that's the extent of what these people even know about what they're talking about. Every time I watch these hearings, it's just, if it wasn't so embarrassing and disgusting, it would be hilarious. But it's just pitiful to think that the people that run the Financial Services Committee of the United States, one of the most powerful countries in the world, are this ignorant of really what's going on. It's just flat painful to watch. It's embarrassing and it's shameful. But unfortunately, this is the world we live in, and so we get to listen to them talk about Bitcom. And what's even worse about it is that they love to hear themselves talk, and they have no idea that everybody in the audience and everybody that's watching them on TV feels sorry for them for their ignorance, and they're not watching and in all of their brilliance. Those of us that are sitting at home are literally watching this going, oh, this is so embarrassing for your parents if they're still alive. Awful. Okay, Stewart XRP. I like the new tweets from a selection of Ripple partners on the updated Ripple website. We've leveraged on-demand liquidity on RippleNet to dramatically reduce our operational costs and process global payments at unprecedented speeds. This is Stephen Reif, head of corporate strategy at MoneyGram International. And Stewart XRP was referring to Ripple's new website. They have just redone their entire website. This is what the homepage looks like. Some things are similar, some things are different. They say, join us at Swell. And then they've got this. Let me go through a couple of things here. Resources, about us. They've got all kinds of different. Let's see what SBI Ripple Asia, if that's any different. I don't think it is. No, that's the same website that they had up. But Ripple's website is redesigned now. XRP Platypus at J Skyway sent me this. And this is another Stewart XRP. XRP can scale to handle the same throughput as Visa. Source 65,000 plus transactions per second as of July 15, 2019. Before website update, can scale to handle the same throughput as Visa. Source 50,000 transactions per second as of July 15, 2017. 15,000 extra, not an issue. Scalable. XRP consistently handles 1,500 transactions per second, And then it says source 65,000. So this is where he's getting that right there. Okay, XRP James T sent me this. This is just an interesting tweet I saw from him. Evan Kirstel, new credit card, 3-digit CVV changes every 4 hours. So that little CVV number on your credit card, they're now designing these things so that it can change. It will change digitally. Just kind of what it reminds me of is when we do the two-factor authentication. We have the Google Authenticator apps on our phones and things. That number changes, so you can see that these credit card issuers are getting with the program. Okay, and this was an article written more or less about a tweet from Tom Lee. And NBK Crypto sent me this, and here's the tweet. This was a tweet he's tweeting out. It's Mia Tam, backed in 4 days. Now it all makes sense. And he says, I'm very positive on backed and its ability to improve trust with institutions to crypto. Now, this is a point that we've made a lot here, and that is the entire thing with backed, including its name. It's all designed so that the Wall Street firms can raise their hand and they can say to all the investing public, see, all this crypto stuff, it's been shady for the last 10 years. This has been something you didn't want to touch. It's just for money laundering. It's for criminals. But now we're here because we think the technology is legitimate, and now we're here to legitimize it. And now it's safe for you to invest. We will store it for you. It will be safe. It's insured by reputable people, and it's all backed by us, Wall Street. Wall Street is here, and now you can trust it. And now we, Wall Street, can make bukus of billions and trillions of dollars on it because we parked our money here over the counter during 2018 while we continued to scare you all. But now we're here, and it's safe for you. So now you can drive our investments up in value. Thanks a lot. And then Diane B at Living with Passion sent me this. It was a tweet from John McAfee. Backed goes live tomorrow. It is an institutionalized exchange, so I won't be using it. But institutions will feel a level of trust that they had not had. It could jumpstart crypto adoption. But remember, it is the opposite of freedom's movement. I agree with everything he said there, but I think it's ultimately good for those of us that were here investing early. And so for that reason, I'm behind it. Sergeant Obi-Wan, Ripple reveals a list of ex-Rapid clients, says two new banks joining RippleNet. I think that this is probably from their new website. This is a sheet that was on the website, and this is what the article is based on. It says, who uses, avoid pre-funding with instant settlement. Who uses on-demand liquidity? MoneyGram, TransferGo, Instarim, SendFriend, Mercury FX, GoLance. What I think about when I see all of these names is I think about, well, who are their competitors? I immediately think about Western Union, and they must see something like this and just be like, oh my gosh, we're in trouble. And this looks like a perfect little graphic for my thumbnail today. And then Chinu Patel at Chinu Patel 29 sent me this. This is classic. Rhythm Trader, another day, another $75 billion by the Fed to fix the lending market for the first time since the last financial crisis. It took a decade for Bitcoin to grow to $200 billion. It took 4 days for the Fed to print $278 billion. Now, I want to read these two again for you because if anything puts all this in perspective, how sick and warped our traditional financial system has become. Bitcoin has grown. It has grown organically over the last 10 years, and now $200 or so billion is in Bitcoin. In 4 days, the Fed prints $278 billion. That is what's been wrong, folks. That is the reason digital assets are here, because people, ever since the financial crisis, and this was the biggest miscalculation by the feds or feds around the world, biggest miscalculation ever was to do those bailouts and to print all that money and to do the QEs, because they thought, okay, we can get away with this. They didn't calculate one thing, and that one thing was that all of a sudden, even if it was under the surface, they were going to create an underswell, and from that underswell came the people who weren't bailed out. And I tweeted about it yesterday. I contend that much of the intellectual capital, in other words, some of the smartest people in the United States, were destroyed by the financial crisis. Some of the most intelligent small business people in the United States were basically told, F you, and we're going to bail out our friends and our banks, but we're going to tell you, screw you. You just happen to be some of the ones that weren't chosen to be bailed out. I know bankers in my town. I know people in this town that were bailed out and who told people who had been in business for 30 years and had built massive companies, really smart people who were told, sorry, screw you. And then those same bankers were bailed out, and they walk around this town to this day acting like they are leaders in the community when they really should have been tarred and feathered and hung out to dry the way they hung these businessmen out to dry. They ought to be ashamed of themselves. But instead of being ashamed of themselves, they sit there and they act like it's just business as usual, and everybody rewards them with the praises that they don't deserve. That is what happened in 2008. And what rose from that is that they had no idea that they were literally putting in motion their own destruction. And digital assets are the answer. And digital assets, the people that are carrying the torch of digital assets are some of the very same people that were not in the bailed out class. And for you and I, it's a great thing to be a part of that, because we're a part of something that is huge. And it's huge because we're on the side of goodness and truth. That's what this is. That's what I've always said. Now, let's give this guy a shout out. XRP Community Poster 2019. This is Stetus, who puts out all these awesome XRP community and Ripple graphics. He's created his 3rd edition of this poster. You can go to his website and get it. The website is STE DAS.HR. And he's just put this thing, and on Twitter, you can go find it at status right here if you want to go see it. And you can pre-order his poster right now. So go do it. I'm going to try to get one of those. My mansion is going to have all kinds of XRP stuff like that in it. The wife's just going to have to get over it. She doesn't know it yet. Now, the one thing that made me laugh out loud today, I have to give some credit here. This is from NBK Crypto. He sent me this series of tweets. This is from Anthony Pompliano, who I like. I'm not making fun of Anthony Pompliano here, but Willy Wonka makes me laugh. Willy Wonka XRP says things that just make me laugh so every once in a while, and this was one of them. He says, Pompliano says, who said Bitcoin can't scale? Who said Bitcoin can't go mainstream? And then this guy's posting this tweet. It's apparently a college kid. I just published announcing Olympus Lightning-enabled fiat payments, fiat ramps by Zap. What if you could go from fiat in your bank account to non-custodial Lightning payments in seconds? What does onboarding the masses look like? Are you ready? And then it's a video of this college kid showing how he thinks Bitcoin scales. And then Willy Wonka comes in and he says, Pomp's idea of mainstream is some college kid with a shitty camera talking shit in his campus apartment working on his computer science project that no one can actually see. Meanwhile, David Schwartz is building an ecosystem around a blockchain that already scales. HODL XRP, scalable. And then it's got this graphic about XRP and how it scales. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family that the digital asset investor will be posting photos of a brisket smoking, and so that you can look at my juicy brisket this weekend. Thank you for listening.